Assalamu alaikum, girls. So I'm going to continue with our second part of spoken and written discourse, and we have the second thing, grammar and vocabulary. So in spoken, sometimes we make some mistakes, and it is allowed because uh, when you say something, if it is heard and understood, that's fine. The message is conveyed, the meaning has occurred, the other person has understood it, and that person is going to respond it to you. For example, in spoken, you can say, "Give me a sec, I'll call you back." So it is informal. A contraction is used here, and that contraction is also a slang. Give me a second. Okay. So here we have these things that are not right according to the rule of grammar, and gimme is not a word in our dictionary also. While when you have to write it, when you have to convey the same message in a written form, how you are going to write it? Please give me a moment. I'll call you back shortly. All right, so this is formal and it is also a complete sentence. The rules of grammar are followed and it is with the proper lexical items. Then we have non-verbal cues. For example, you have done something really good, right? For example, you all the whole class, they passed the test with flying colors. All right, so a teacher would be saying, "Good job," with a smile and thumbs up. For example, you have delivered a very good presentation and your teacher is appreciating you. In the spoken discourse, she's going to say, "Good job." She will raise up her thumb and she is going to smile also. But when you have asked the same thing over a text message, so your teacher is going to reply, "Good job!" exclamation mark. When exclamation mark occurs here, it means that she's very excited regarding your presentation or your performance. So she cannot show her facial expressions, right? So she can add some emojis or some simile, and you see punctuation is already added, exclamation mark, and she's going to put a smiling face over there. So you will get the clear message from your teacher. Then we have interaction and feedback. For example, in spoken, is student is asking a teacher a question in the class and getting an instant reply. Again, I will give you the example of our class, our online class, and even when we are having our physical classes at campus. So you can ask your teacher anytime during the lecture and you can get your query is solved. While on the other hand, if you have to write it down, you have to text that teacher a message, or you have to email that teacher. After that, you have to wait for the answer calmly. All right, so it is not spontaneous, and you have to wait for it. Then we have the best use of spoken language and the written one. So we are going to cover up spoken first. So it is best for casual conversations with friends and family, definitely. For example, you want to have a specific breakfast, or you want to eat some special dish, some specific thing in your sehri these days. So you are not going to write a text message, or you are not going to write an email or a letter to your mother telling her about that specific desire you have for a food. You would definitely go to her and tell her, "Me, like mom, can you please make aloo ke parathas in the sahari?" So this is spoken language, or more specifically, you are going to call your friend. If you are not on campus, you are going to call and you are going to talk in an informal way. The second thing is live discussions, debates, interviews, and podcasts, and storytelling. I told you a story in our online class about, sorry, about that king and his prime minister soldier and the beggar. And for informal presentations, this spoken version of discourse is the best one. Then we have Written language, what it is best for: writing essays, reports, academic assignments, applications, letters, academic letters, formal letters, emails, news articles, research papers, and the books. All right. So now our next thing is mistakes. Mistakes in spoken versus written language. Again, in spoken language, small mistakes like grammar slip, we have already discussed that. If there is a grammar slip, we usually ignore that as long as our message is conveyed and understood. For example, she don't like coffee, incorrect grammar. And if we are going for the same sentence in written language, we would say she doesn't like coffee. Grammar accuracy is very, very much important, and you have to go for the correct version of English. Now, then we have understanding and caring for context. All right, a spoken example. Talking to teacher, excuse me, could you please explain this? This is very formal, right? Right? Again, if you have to talk with a friend, you would say, hey, what does this mean? Again, in spoken, you have formal and informal versions, right? And in written, again, you would see both the versions working over here. In written example, writing to a teacher, dear professor, I have a question regarding today's lecture. And in written, you would say, while you're texting a friend, hey, what was today's homework? And context is very important. For example, all right, let me first explain you this. Your CR, she texted me and she was asking for the rescheduling of the class, and she was like, would you please take our class on Wednesday of Tuesday? And when I asked her, okay, when I said, okay, fine, I am willing to reschedule my class, and you have to tell this to the students also. When she wrote it in the CR group, she was, Ma'am Najia is going to take our class on Wednesday from 9 to 10. While she was talking to me, it was quite very formal, and while she was conveying this message to the class, it was a bit informal. Plus, context is important. If she would have written, due to our heavy schedule on Wednesday, Ma'am Najia has agreed to grant our request and take our class on Wednesday. So, this is going to convey a complete, very, very meaningful message to the whole class, and the context is also clear. Then we have impact of technology. This is something that is mixing spoken and written language. For example, these discourse, written and spoken, are in a mix in this line. Lol, lots of laughter, or laugh out loud. Lol, that was hilarious. And there is a simile after this sentence. This is very informal and it is very much spoken like, yet it is in a written form. But when you are going for the same message in formal way, this would be, that was very funny. So this is the impact of technology over these two styles of discourse, and they sometimes merge as one. All right, I was talking about that this thing is known as overlapping, and we are going to trace the same thing in our academic and professional discourses. So some of the spoken texts, they can be written down. For example, transcript of interview. For example, you have to go for some of the research, you have to collect your data from some people. Your tool is to interview them. You gather the data by interviewing the interviewees. You would come back and then you would write it down. That spoken discourse would be in the written form. Then similarly, some of the speeches, they are also, when you have to go for some of the research, you have to write down those speeches. and sometimes written text imitate spoken languages, informational social media posts, dialogue, and the stories. So we have already discussed this thing. You must be having your Facebook account. Somebody is going to post something there. People would come to that post, and they would somebody would write something about that post, and somebody would reply to whatever that person has written, and there would be a chain of communication occurring under that post. So this is kind of conversation. These are the dialogues, but they are in the written form. Similarly, there are dialogues in the stories. You must have read novels and short stories. Some of the characters, they communicate one another through dialogues. The writer would write down exact dialogues, the way they would be having a conversation with one another there. All right. So these are the things, like sometimes they are overlapping, they are having a mix over here, and these both forms are very much important for communication, and they have their very own strengths. So that was all for today. Thank you very much. Take good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.